Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we're going to be talking about the battle tree. So the battle tree in Pokemon Sun and Moon is just filled with shenanigans. I want to go and check out some of the trainers. Like, I have a list of things we're going to look at and understand how the battle tree works and what makes it feel like it's even more unfair than the Battle Maison, than pretty much any battle point area that we've had in Pokemon games. So first off, I get a lot of comments all the time saying battle tree is filled with hackers and battle tree cheats because, you know, impossible abilities or anything like that. So we're going to look at all of like the little mechanics behind the battle tree, and fortunately Cerebi does have a list of all the trainers in the battle tree, so you go to the drop down menu and then you can go and check it out right here. Now unfortunately it's not like all in one place. I would like to scroll through and just see every Pokemon and every team and like try to understand what's going on. Now we do have that on Bulbapedia, but it is only for the Battle Maison, unfortunately. So maybe there'll be an update. This is called a list of Battle Maison Pokemon. Then we also have list of Battle Maison trainers. So maybe in a couple months we'll have this for the battle tree, and it'll kind of be a layout because you can see the individual move sets and even the EV spreads for the Pokemon. But when we get back to like the hacking and the battle tree is cheating, well, mostly it's just the way that the battle tree is made. All abilities used by Pokemon are random from their ability pool. Now, we actually had this in X and Y version because there were a couple of exclusive hidden abilities that we didn't have access to, and I think the biggest one was like Dragalge. People only figured out that Dragalge had adaptability because it got traced off of the Battle Maison or something like that. So pretty much you can just get a random ability combination in one of the random movesets that may or may not have synergy. And also, there's a lot of duplicate Pokemon and crazy movesets. Let's look at Pokemon Trainer Annabelle. So the special trainers have all kinds of ridiculousness that they can use some legendary Pokemon. They also have various megas and strategies that will keep you on your toes. And the really interesting thing about this is that it just randomly picks different Pokemon and different movesets until it ends up with something to throw at you. So it's not even as calculated as we thought it was, but can still do some shenanigans too. So yeah, single battles draw 3, double battles draw 4, multi-battles draw 2, and then that's going to be the combination. Also, if you scout an opponent, they are guaranteed to bring the first 2 Pokemon that they have. So you could use this to your advantage if you know that, okay, maybe the battle tree is going to rig that RNG in its favor and bring most of the counters that this player has, because the lists are pretty varied, and the special trainers are the ones that have like kind of the smallest list. You know, they just have 6 Pokemon, they pick some random ones with different movesets, so at least gives you an idea of what to think. And I think that shows why this Cerebi page is here. This Cerebi page is if you want to grind the battle tree efficiently and you see a trainer name like, oh, we have Jasper. What is Jasper potentially going to bring? And then if you see one of the Pokemon, you know what moveset that Pokemon is going to be for Jasper specifically. So it seems to be done a little bit more precise in Pokemon Sun and Moon than it does for X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire with the Battle Maison. So this isn't going to be like, and also look at the amount of Pokemon. This is one trainer that can have that 6 times, I don't even know, 8? So there's tons of Pokemon that any of the trainers can have, but at least you'll know that one's moveset. We see a lot of Quick Claw. We have Fling's Rock even, so Fling plus King Shark. So let's fake out Fling, Thief, and U-turn. So that Ambipom is going to flinch you twice, steal your item, and then peace out. That is absolutely nuts on the Ambipom. And then we can see the Infernape kind of has like something different, that you fake out, fling into acrobatics for the boosted damage. Now, no stab. You know, this is the lawless land of the battle tree, yet you'll find these strange movesets actually beating you up from time to time. So it just kind of shows that there's going to be a lot of craziness, and that's kind of what we're looking at. So Abby is a really interesting one, because I was going to the Fan Fridays. That in the most recent Fan Fridays we had, wait a second, if you stall at the battle tree, you'll see them using Helping Hand in singles? What? Why would they do this? Well, that's because this is all of the Pokemon for both singles, doubles, and multi, and it will just randomly choose them for the team. So sometimes there's going to be synergy, sometimes there isn't going to be synergy, and we got the Nidoqueen, which always has Helping Hand. So Chip Away, Swagger, Flatter, and Helping Hand. This is one pro Nidoqueen right here. And we also have Odessa. So I was looking at Odessa because that was the first one. On like the first week of Fan Fries for Pokemon Sun and Moon, we had the battle tree is unfair. That video blew up because people were already realizing the craziness that you'll run into. And we found it, guys. We found the legendary Quick Claw, Heal Order, Protect, Toxic, Defend Order, Vespiquen. So it can be stalled out, but it can also stall you out, and then we ended up in an unfair PP stalling scenario. and you just could not beat the Vespiquen. It was pretty crazy right there. It was on like the random roll that it could have just been a Normalium Z. A Captivate Normalium Z Vespiquen. So I actually had to look up Captivate. Lowers opponent's special attack and then boosts your special defense. So if they hit you with that Normalium Z Captivate, the game's just done if you're on your last Pokemon and it's a special attacker. That Vespiquen comes in, it doubles its special defense, and it cuts your special attack in half. And then it's still a Vespiquen. But it doesn't have any healing. It'll just hide behind the Confuse Ray and Power Gem and attack order you down. So if it had Heal Order instead of like Power Gem or something, that would have been absolutely too unfair. But we can see that the teams kind of go on. And then I had to go and look up Levine. Now, Levine is a mofo right here. That this is the guy that brought the double team Tyrantrum and the double team Barbaracle, and I just couldn't beat it. And look, it's even Bright Powder plus Lax Instance. I was wondering, I was like, wait a second. My 100% accurate move missed on both of the opponents. How's that even possible? Well, it looks like there's just no rules when it comes to what you're going to see on the battle tree. That Lax Instance, even though it is less than a Bright Powder, it only has the 5% chance to have the opponent miss when Bright Powder is a 10% chance. Anything that has a double team, will try to stack the hacks onto it. And I think it also shows some of the consistencies that we see something like the Razor Fang or the King's Rock on a Pokemon that can get access to the Fling. So they're always going to do that combo to you. Same if they have like a very high amount of weaknesses, that they'll have the weakness reducing Berry just to kind of play it out like that. And then just randomly, there's also Quick Claw all over the place when it comes to all the Pokemon on the battle tree. But that's what got me when I got the confirmation that the guy ended up bringing both of his evasion item double team Pokemon, and it ended up just slapping me out of the battle tree. So that's some fun stuff right there. And then another one that we ended up seeing was Rocky. So Rocky brought the double team Rotom with a Citrus Berry, and it ended up working. You know, just Ominous Wind boosting stats, a Thunder Wave into the Electro Ball double team, and the opponent really couldn't do anything about it. So we get to see that there's also trainer archetypes as well, that we have like mostly fire trainers, so they might throw this at you if you're running a specific team, or mostly rock and whatever trainers as well. So there are specific typings, but it's not as neatly listed out as we have for the Battle Maison on the Bulbapedia article. So this is what the rest of the video is going to be about. This guy's showing the complexity of how much is actually there and built to screw you over is very impressive for these battle areas. So we can see that the different trainers will have different skill levels as well, that it shows specific sets being used, and then it'll also show like different groups and whatnot like that. So we can see all kind of breakdowns. Like look, 120 plus special attack, 100 plus special defense. So it even gets that specific. Group A and D plus Latios, Group A and D plus Latios, or all these other group breakdowns. So also kind of adding to synergy with like pulling from 2 different lists and then kind of building up a team, having up to 3 or yeah, even 4 different movesets on the Pokemon. Now what gets even crazier about how complex the Battle Maison gets is the tiers. So you might notice that there's these Roman numerals right here. Well, this actually represents the tiers, and you'll notice that, you know, in the earlier rankings of the Battle Maison or early on in your streak, you just kind of see normal, average, podunk looking battlers, but then we start getting into veterans and ace trainers and all of these other higher classes, and that's actually because they play differently. So let's go down to tiers. We have Tier 1, 19 IVs for all Pokemon stats, only uses set 1, gets more IVs. But then Tier 5 and 6 is where things get crazy. All IVs will be 31 for the Pokemon stats, but they'll only use set 4 Pokemon for Tier 5. So battles 31 through 40, they'll only have the one set of Pokemon. After that, it changes. Usually uses set 4 on the moveset, but can't guarantee any of that. And that's what this list is for right here, that we'll see set 1, 2, 3, 4. So it even starts to make more and more sense and gets more and more competitive as you go. But it also shows why the earlier streaks might actually give you a harder time than you would expect, because this is where we see all the cheesy stuff. Like what happens if you just get set 1 Nidoqueen that ends up throwing down Swagger and then you hit yourself 5 times in a row and end up losing the battle somehow. This will happen on the battle tree. We've seen things like this happen on the battle tree. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit of searching and seeing where the double team goes. Okay, double team is up to set 3 on the Vileplume. Oh my goodness, there's actually a double team Zapdos hanging around there. That's a little terrifying. And then, like, you can just see, these are the Pokemon that can run the double team, so you know what to expect. And when you see this Pokemon, the double team hacks could come in, at least on the Battle Maison. That's why I'd like to have this more set up like this for the Battle Tree, so hopefully this information eventually makes it onto Bulbapedia at some point. But this is actually a really cool page. I didn't know that any of these pages existed until I went on this quest to figure out how the Battle Maison works. But it also goes even crazier than that there's strategy groups, there's characteristic groups, there's type groups, there's all kinds of things like this. This is where we find the 120 special attack, the evolutions that you'll notice every once in a while. There's a full evolution team that comes into play, so you can look up that evolution and find out what's going to happen. That, okay, I'm in battle 60, so they're all going to have 31 IVs, they're going to have their EVs as well, and then you can also use the set list right here to figure out what EVs the Pokemon are running. Sometimes we see these weird splits, like it's either 252, 252, or it's going to be 170s across the board, depending on what it's doing. If it wants to be a bulky attacker, sometimes it's going to be split like that, or sometimes it's also going to be like half in defenses, half in offenses. So sometimes the Pokemon aren't going to be as fast as they should, they're going to take more damage than they should because they have like these weird splits, or they're not doing as much damage as you would expect. And you can even see the nature of the Pokemon right here as well. Let's see what the Espeon, for example, is running. So yeah, Espeon can have these sets right here: Focus Sash, Kasib, Lum, or Expert Belt. And it looks like they're always going to have the max speed, and depending on what tier, that's where like the speed actually comes into play. And then we have hit points speed on this Espeon right here for the Psy Shock, Grass Knot, Telekinesis, and Charm. So really weird one. Actually, one of these is even the Modest as well. So interesting stuff for the Espeon breakdowns, for sure. Like this one, so tier 3 will mess you up with damage, and then tier 4 will mess you up on the outspeeds. You know, that's just how the Battle Maison and all this ends up playing out. But yeah, like the evolution, so there are those specific groups. If you've noticed patterns, they do have special characteristics on these trainer classes that kind of show all these different things right here. And then strategy groups, Intimidate. There are those full Intimidate teams, you know, contains all Pokemon that have non-hidden ability Intimidate. We have Trick Room, Rain, Sun, Hail, so we have all the weather, and then we also just have custom typings, so we saw that back up here, you know, use Flying and Electric, Ground, Steel, and Rock, so kind of working with their trainer class in a lot of situations, sometimes just kind of showing that. The artist can either be a Ground, Steel, Rock plus Regirock, or it can also be a Group CD Pokemon, depending on what tier and just what role you get. So random trainers is kind of like where this gets crazy, you know. The 216 species of Pokemon that may be used by a Battle Maison trainer are divided into 5 disjoint groups, 49 non-legendary Pokemon and 20 legendary Pokemon. Like, okay. And then also, yeah, the legendary Pokemon will happen. The legendary group is exclusive to veterans and the Battle Chatelaines. I've never tried to pronounce that before, but they also may be used by other opponents when specified. So, yeah. Every opponent the player faces will use a team of randomly selected from the roster. The roster, with a few exceptions, will be exclusively made up of several Pokemon groups. So, that just kind of explains it. The Battle Tree seems similar, and I'm wondering if it's crazier. Like, maybe when we can get both of the Battle Tree pages on Bulbapedia and we compare them side to side, we can see if one is more advanced than the other, or if it's just like the 7th generation. You know, there's different Pokemon, the accessibility to Z moves, randomly throwing down some Mega Stones and stuff. I think that's another one, is that one of the trainers had like unobtainable Mega Stones, so you can get that Mega Mawile before it was available. You can get any Mega that's already existed in the game, like Arnon here with the Beedrillite and the Pidgeotite. So, yep, that's just kind of a breakdown of the shenanigans in the Battle Tree. I honestly want to go like deeper into this. Like, if we can get all the Battle Tree movesets, you know, I have to do strategy guides for these, be like the craziest Battle Tree movesets for the 1st generation or something like that, because there's a lot for each Pokemon, and it seems pretty fun. If you're interested in that, well, you probably are, because that means you're a super awesome fan for making it this far into the video. But overall, I had fun looking at this video and just kind of like learning about it. If you want to get a bit more information, you can click on the links I'll have in the description below about like all of these setups right here. It's some pretty fun, interesting stuff. But yeah, you can see that the Battle Tree has so much variance that is actively out there to screw you over, even with Pokemon and things that you do not currently have access to. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.